Okay, kids, about that time again to start working on the bike. And again, I'm working on the tandem. Last time I took the front wheel apart and I showed how to work on cleaning up the wheel a little bit. So I did the sides. The sides are good. They just need a little polishing. I still need to do the rim part of it, but the important part's done. I wanted to get this thing back up and running. Got a new tire on there. Now I'm working on the back wheel. Here's the back wheel. And as you can see, I've got it all apart. Check this out. This bike has a drum brake. See that? This hooks to the frame. The cable pulls this, and the drums expand. See how that works? Just like a car. That's pretty cool. Never seen that before. And get a load of all these parts. All these tiny little parts. Could you imagine? So it's needless to say that taking this wheel and axle apart is not for the faint of heart. If you're not confident in your abilities, don't do it. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it all back together. I took it apart, so I remember how it went back together. So let me start by applying some grease in some areas for these ball bearings. Now these big ball bearings are the axle ball bearings. These little ball bearings are for the cassette. We'll go ahead and grease that up nice. This grease I got at Dick's. This is Dick's Sporting Goods. This is pretty much your run-of-the-mill silicone grease. A little better than the grease that came out of this. The grease that came out of this was all gummy and sticky, and it was like more like glue than like grease. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to coat this, get a light coat, and then enough where the bearings sit to keep them in place. Okay, and it's very important to make sure you don't lose any of the bearings when you pull all these things apart. The other thing that's very important is to make sure, make sure that you put this thing back together the way it came apart. You know what? I gotta take these off. That's part of my problem right there. So this video might end up being in a few different parts because it might take me a little longer to get this thing back together than what I want. Now, as you can see, everything's nice and clean. I cleaned all this stuff already. I didn't want to, you know, bore you with the details. And it is pretty important to also make sure that when you're putting when you're taking these axles apart and putting them back together and all this, that you have the same amount of axle protruding out either side of the hub. Because what happens is you get the thing off center, and that's not good. You definitely don't want to get the thing off center. Probably pretty good. Alright, so 8 bearings came out of this hub. I'm just going to stick this in there so the bearings can't fall down in. 8 bearings came out on either side, so 8 bearings go back in on either side. That's important too, because if the bearings don't roll, if they're too tight in there, 3, 6, 7. If they're too tight in there, they won't roll properly. And then the other side won't have enough bearings. So there, that one's on. Oh, my mistake, guys. I really should have put the bearings in on this side first. So, bear with me for a second while I fix this issue. And like I said, definitely not for 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Okay. You definitely always want to make sure you put this thing back together right. And even though I kind of know what I'm doing, it's still really easy to make a mistake because everything has an order to it. I'm going to put this grease in here to hold those bearings in place. Now this is kind of weird because, like, down inside there's a little washer that will not come out of this hub. So not only do I have to see the washer right there, I have to work around that washer, which is not something I'm really excited about. But I'm going to see if I can get this thing to stick up here, which it looks like it might. As long as I got enough grease. Alright, so I'm going to take these greasy bearings and put them in on this side. One, two. Going to give it a little rotation. 3. 4. 5. 6. Don't lose any bearings, folks. 7. 8. So I know I took 16 bearings out of here from both sides. So in case I lost count, I'll just recount what I got left, and I got 8. So I know I put 8 in there. So This hub goes on this side. Oh, yeah. Kind of can't put that together yet. What I'll do is I'll take this hub back off. You like my bicycle music? I thought it was fitting for my videos. What I do once I get this axle assembled, before I go any further, I'm going to measure both sides and make sure the same amount of axle is protruding from each side. If you don't have the same amount of axle protruding out of both sides, your wheel's going to sit off center in the frame. And it may not cause a problem, or it might cause the brakes to rub. So with that side in place, now I can put these bearings in there. Pop these jokers in there. Put some more grease on top of them. You don't want to put too much grease because that'll slow your bearings down. Slow the way your axle works. But if you don't put enough, then that'll also